Right, so we are going to start off with pen and ink first of all. So what I've, rather than drawing perhaps from the sketch that you did last week initially, I thought we'd just take a simple mushroom shape and do it in 3 different mediums. I might do 4 actually. 3 in pure pen outline, pen with shading, and then a nice thick pen. And then we've got pen and wash, pure watercolour, and this water soluble pen, which you may want to do. And we'll also perhaps look at adding a bit of salt to get, if you've got a very speckly mushroom, this is quite useful to get the texture of it. So first thing, we're going to work on cartridge paper for the first ones. We've drawn, hopefully you've drawn mushrooms so they're lodged in your brain of what they look like. So we're doing a slightly stylised one, or the perfect mushroom. So we've got the stalk, we've then got the bit where all the gills are, we've then got our sort of mushroom. So quite, if it's a bit wonky, it's one that came from Aldi, my wonky mushroom bag from last week. It doesn't all be the same, it can be a little bit different, but if you really want to start out just drawing these onto your cartridge paper. So I'm just doing 3 initially. There's a lot of whispering going on. Have you got anything? Sounds like it. If you've got anything to say, share it with the class. I don't mean that, but if you've got any comments today.
I said what I've taken a picture of last week isn't any help for this, because this is style.
This is just, we're just doing a mushroom. This is like your practice bit, like we did the practice and the warm up with the pencil last week. So this is pure practice. This is why we won't spend, this is just to get you into the mood of using a pen, different pens, give you different marks, and then mixing the colour for the watercolour ones. So I've sketched out 3 mushrooms. The first one, I'm literally just going to give myself a solid, even outline, just as if it was, say it was going to be in a cartoon or something. We've got this sort of slightly jagged bit around. We've got the gills or ribs radially out from the centre. Yep.
Is this on watercolour paper?
So this is on your normal cartridge paper. You could use watercolour, if you haven't got cartridge you could use watercolour, but the pen flows nicer onto a smoother paper. So I'm just literally drawing a solid outline mushroom. So that's the first one. If you wanted to just make some of these a little bit thicker, because it's the light tops of the gills are the ones which are lighter. I'll just go in a little bit more there. Right, my second one, I'm having the light coming from this direction, okay, and this direction on this one. So I've got my pencil outline. What I don't want to do this time is to put a solid line around the whole of it. So this right hand side is going to be very light, so it's only going to have a slightly broken line, heavier line on the left hand side. So for example, I can just have a broken line on the top of the stalk, heavier down here because it's got shadow. We've got our irregular bit around here. This is still going to be dark, so we can keep that nice and heavy, and then this is going to be dark on this side, but as we come round, just break up that line because we don't want a heavy dark outline, same as that one. Same with the side of the stalk, we've just, it's like a broken line across there. So immediately, hopefully you can tell that it looks like the light is coming from the right hand side. So when we do pen and ink, we need to use our pen to create the darks and very little pen where it's catching the light. So if we use a slightly curved line where it's dark, that shape of it as well. So we reduce it as we go around to the right hand side. We then hatch and cross hatch this darker area to create the darker shading. I'm using a 0.4, but you can use any sort of thickness of pen, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4.
So you've done lines radiating out from the centre first?
Yes, that helps to give it a little bit of a shape, and then I'm darkening it down where it's getting the shadow, which is this side, the back side of it. Same on the stalk. You can see that. So we can do our lines showing the sort of structure of it, less as it comes to the light side. And I can either use a slightly curved line as well. And then we've got the gills in here again, which radiate out and are all nice and dark because they're very dark, not really getting any light. A little bit of shadow on the top of it. So hopefully you can see that it begins to look more three-dimensional. So now just a very basic outline and the shading on that with the pen. So like we did with the pencil, but of course we can't shade, we're just adding lines and overlaying lines until we get a much darker feel to it. And then the third one, and I've got plenty of thick pens. So again, this is very much a sort of stylised, almost like a graphic-y image, where I'm just going to use very thick lines with a thick marker pen and not put any lines on where it's catching the full light. So again, we put the top of the stalk in, stalk round there, so we've got a heavy line round there. We've got I've got some thick pens, so you can borrow them. And then all I'm going to do is to use a curved line that slowly reduces down to nothing, and again some sort of lines on the top there. So we keep that nice and simple. We've got a bit of shadow there as well. Just pull out a thick pen. So that's our first 3 mushrooms.